The anthracite coal region of eastern Pennsylvania was the first industry investigated by the NCLC. The Great Anthracite Coal Region Strike of 1902, which had brought to light the fact that thousands of young boys were working in and around the mines, was still fresh in the public's mind. In due time, in anthracite coal, the NCLC found a cultural icon, the Breaker Boy. The Breaker Boys, who endured some of the most grueling conditions among child workers anywhere, came to symbolize all that was wrong with child labor. The basic job of the breaker boy was to pick slate and other impurities from coal before it was shipped. There was a variety of methods for doing this, but, most commonly, coal was run from a conveyor from the bottom of the breaker diagonally to the top. Boys were positioned on wooden benches above the conveyor and manually picked slate from the coal as it rushed by. The boys were working in the breaker are bent double with little chance to relax. The air at times is dense with coal dust, which penetrates far into the passages of the lungs, that for long periods of time after the boys leave the breaker, he continues to cough up the black coal dust. While reformers and progressives in the area were concerned about the livelihood of the breaker boys, no such reaction was placed in the anthracite region itself. One breaker boss said, "The little devils like it." The typical breaker boy is proud of his breaker and boasts of its daily output. Most child labor in bituminous mining was underground. Boys worked as runners, drivers, door boys, and couplers, but the largest percentage worked with their fathers at the coalface as loaders. Under Pennsylvania law in the early 1900s, while a boy had to be 16 to work underground in the anthracite, he only had to be 12 to work underground in bituminous mining, so long as he was accompanied by his father. Miners were paid per ton of coal delivered to the tipple on the surface where coal was loaded into the railroad cars. Time spent away from cutting coal was money out of the miner's paycheck, so the fathers took their sons in as loaders. In West Virginia in 1908, miners generally received 40 cents per ton and could earn anywhere from $5 to $9 a day. The helpers or loaders were usually not paid, which explains why the miner took his own sons in, and explains why loaders were often some of the very youngest children. There was more or less a definite career ladder for the boys to follow in both anthracite and bituminous mining. In anthracite, the youngest boys started in the breakers. In bituminous mining, youngest boys started as loaders working for their fathers. From these early entry level positions, there was a great variety of jobs in the career progressions. The most common next steps in both regions included jobs of the doorboy and then the driver. After this career stage, boys made the transition from boys' work to men's work. Underground, the greatest dangers were roof falls that occurred most commonly at the coalface. In bituminous mining, children who worked as loaders and the men were equally at great risk. Then there was the danger of explosion that threatened whoever happened to be underground. These explosions usually would occur often in the most unforeseen places without known cause. In anthracite mines, where young men did the loading, boys were at less risk of roof falls. Drivers and nippers, in addition to the risks of explosion, risk being jammed by or between cars. The above image is a perfect example of how children would be hurt in the coal mines. Coal mining was dangerous work, and whatever their specific job, boys in mining were exposed to various dangers. The NCLC investigation reports were filled with anecdotes and evidence of accidents and injuries. In this and other injuries, the NCLC frequently used the figure 300% to indicate that the injury and accident rate to children under 16 was 3 times higher than for workers 16 and over. Above portrays one of Lewis Hines' most famous child labor photos. You notice his posture, cockiness, and with some self-assured swagger. Displayed as a boy among men, but he gets the swagger from progressing up the career ladder to the point of where he is now doing men's work and is respected among his peers. In conclusion, eventually child labor in mining was eliminated and was an important win for the NCLC. While every industry stubbornly resisted giving up its child workers, mining and extraction ended fairly early. The work done in the coal mines was just such a dangerous occupation for children, and in result, this allowed the NCLC to strategically focus its attention and investigation on other problem industries.